Yeah, I think he kind of jumped the shark when he insisted on being called the artist formerly known as Prince. You know, his friends are like, oh, come on, man. I feel dumb enough calling you Prince. Now you want me to call you the artist formerly known as Prince? Okay, here's a dumb question, boss. How are you going to sign your autographs now? And Prince is like, oh no, that's easy. I'm gonna just create this symbol. So not only am I gonna rename myself, I'm gonna redefine the written language. From now on, this sort of, I don't know, I guess it's the trans symbol or something, will represent my name, which is no longer Prince, a name you give your German Shepherd. Now it will be called, I will be called the artist formerly known as Prince. It's so stupid. Daniel Black, Boozhoo, Daniel. Yes, Daniel's here, sweetie. Hey, Boozhoo, Daniel. He's got like 4 or 5 question marks. He's like, Boozhoo? What are you guys doing here at 7:28? I'm like, once again, I got all set up, and then I decided to, I'll just take a little nap here between 5 and 5:30 with Bagheera, and then I'll be recharged, and I'll be really ready to do the show. And an hour later, I wake up all groggy and gotta redo the morning routine. Have another cup of coffee. So yeah, we're late. We're on Indian time. But, like I always say, clock doesn't tell me what time it is. I tell that clock what time it is. Hey, clock, you know what time it is? It's time to start the show. It's time to start Boozhoo Nanaboozhoo, the podcast about Ojibwe language and culture. Huh, sweetie? That's right. And I am Nanaboozhoo. Over here, the lovely and the talented and the beautiful and the gorgeous. Oh, get out of here. Natasha. Likadon Boozhoo, Weenie Mooshane. Say hello, my sweetheart. Hello, my sweetheart. No, just kidding. Hi, everybody. So Natasha will be out later. You really got on a roll there at the end of the show yesterday, huh, sweetie? Yeah, we started talking about Hitler. Yeah, talking about art and Hitler. I'd like to see Ernie and Bert talk about that. Hikes, I was watching Ernie and Bert the other day. Oh, were you really? Yeah. I don't recommend rewatching Sesame Street. Okay? I mean, I hate to say it because what we do and, what a huge influence Sesame Street has on us. But they had a bit where Ernie, the old prankster, calls up Bert and he goes, no, he just does a knock-knock joke. He's like, knock, knock, who's there? Little old lady who? Little old lady, little old lady who? Little old lady who? Little old lady who? Oh, I didn't know you knew how to yodel. I mean, what? You guys aren't even trying very hard. Little old lady who? But, anyway, so I was watching Ernie and Bert, and it's one of those things where you remember it being better than it is. So, let me see if I can configure this video. I'm going to lighten up. I need to lighten up, sweetie. Okay, hey, okay. That looks a little better. So yeah, Boozhoo. How you doing? Daniel Black is here. Jim Dunn is here. He's sleeping now. Don't wake up, Jim. He's got the cartoon Z's, which represents snoring. Or maybe Jim sleeps like that. Z. Anyway, we were just talking about Prince and how for a brief period there, I mean, I guess it was probably like a copyright issue. I think his record company was making becoming millionaires off anything that said Prince. And Prince was like, "Doc on it. Okay, from now on, I'm no longer Prince. Oh, what do you want to be called? Call me the artist formerly known as Prince." Like, nah, I'm not going to do that. How about Jerry? You like Jerry? No, I'm the artist formerly known as Prince for the next year or two. And then I'll go back to Prince or something. It's like, that's not a good name. That's the name of my pet German Shepherd. Jim says, "There for you," in like the Prince way. I would die for you, yeah, darling, if you want me to. But I would call you the artist formerly known as Prince once, and then just go back to calling you Prince. I don't know. I can't imagine anybody had like a real friendship with Prince. It's too weird. I don't think he could be like on equal footing with anybody. I am Prince. I'm a genius. Okay. But after so many years of no hits, I mean, let's face it. I mean, like all the Prince fans came out of the woodwork when he died. But where were you guys the last 20 years? He was still releasing albums. But, but at, 20 years, so like in the year 2010, it's been a good 25 years since Purple Rain. Is he still strutting around like he's the kid? Oh no, call me the artist formerly known as... Okay. Call me the person who formerly cared about your music. Mazini B, ikke winnini. Mazini B, gay winnini. How do we say that? Mazini B, gay winnini. Is an artist. He was the Mazini B, ikke, not ikke, Mazini Bikke. Mazini Bikke. Ooh, big guy. Mazini Bikke, winnini. He was a drawing man. That's how it literally translates. The man who draws. But an artist is our Ojibwe word of the day. Mazini Bikke, winnini. And that apostrophe there is kind of it's a glottal stop. Mazini B. So an artist. So I kind of wanted to pick up on what you were talking about yesterday. Artists. Art. Truth. Dubwewin. Schools do a great job of destroying our ability to see, to tell what is beautiful and good and true. The good, the true, and the beautiful. So let me show you, to get started, just to know that we're not, just to be fair here, because we're going to be criticizing a lot of people. I like how you put it yesterday. You said you were a harsh critic. I'm a harsh artistic critic. Everybody kind of is, but they lost all their confidence to be able to tell what is good and bad, what is right or wrong. But anyway, to get things started, this is a cartoon. All right. Mazini Ikke Winnini. This is a gibberish cartoon by Michael Lyons. All right. It's not bad. It's a nice, clean composition. It has nice balance. Good use of whites, of negative space. It's an interesting. It draws your eye in with the vanishing points of the canvas, and it's a self-portrait of sorts. This is kind of what Michael looks like if he were two-dimensional. And there's a little gray alien, and it tells a little story, and then there's the globe Earth in the background sitting in space. And there's even kind of a message in the window, because it's I don't know if I'd call it purposefully. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So this is the level of artistry that Michael is at. Whatever that's worth. I'm not saying it's terrible. It's pretty good. It's really good as a cartoon. I'm not saying it's Michelangelo. All right? So here's Michelangelo. One of the most famous artists of all time. And it looks like he's looking at that cartoon going, oh, wow, look at that. That's a really good painting. That gives me some ideas for my paintings. Because I'm Michelangelo. And Michelangelo deserves, so just compare that, all right? On the left is Michael Lyons. That's as good as he can do with a self-portrait, all right? And on the right is Michelangelo, another Michael. Let's just call him Mike. Mike Angelo. Mike Angie. So Michelangelo's, what is that? It's a painting, I guess. Did he use a colored pencil? I mean, it's really, really good. It looks like a photograph. That thing is 500 years old. There's a reason why he's famous. Well, no, I don't know why he's famous. Because, let's get rid of this guy. Michael Lyons is not Michelangelo. Michelangelo is a much better artist. Mazinabi, gay winini. I mean, that's not like a big... You're not being really that humble to admit that Michelangelo is a better artist than you. Okay. But this is where we're going to start. Oh, let's see what else did Michelangelo do. Do I have anything here? I guess not. That was just his self-portrait. All of his paintings are amazing like that. But if you're a little kid, he's the guy also who carved the statue of David, like the most famous giant statue of David, the big naked guy. But then you go, okay. And you can tell something about a person's mind, at least, if not their heart, but through their artwork. So let's take a look at old Vinnie Van Gogh. All right. This is Vincent Van Gogh. Actually, probably more famous than Michelangelo. Michelangelo is sort of, he's kind of there. So I'm trying to peek through here. Like historically. But people don't like to talk about these guys at the same time. But they get lumped together. And it's ridiculous because just look at it's not just different styles, it's different abilities. Michael is good enough to draw a cartoon. Michelangelo's good enough to draw this thing, which is beautiful and amazing. And then there's Vincent Van Gogh, who is, even the story of him, whatever that is, if it's true, I don't know. But they claim he was mentally ill. And the reason why he's got a big old bandage on his ear there, as the story goes, Vincent Van Gogh fell in love. A lot of artists, that they're really, they got big hearts. And they think, how can I impress a girl? So, Michelangelo, he paints the Sistine Chapel, carves amazing sculpture that will last forever. And, casually sketches out photoreal paintings. Then there's this guy. Oh, so Vincent Van Gogh falls in love with some lady, and he thinks, I know, this will get her. I'm going to cut my ear off. He goes home, gets all drunk, grabs a knife, shaves first. Then, in his crazed whatever, cuts off his ear, wraps it up, goes to that lady and says, "Hey, honey, I got a present for you." And he hands over this ear. And she's like, "Ah! Thanks. This is why nobody wants to date artists. You guys are a bunch of weirdos." And he's like, "Well, you're always saying I don't listen." No, I'll always have to listen. You can have my ear. First you took my heart. Now you can have my ear. So I don't think he ever got her. But he goes home and he paints a self-portrait. And this is probably the best thing he's ever done. And it's, whatever. He's not good enough to even draw arms or a body. He just draws, there's certain things you can do in art to cheat, You can tell a good artist from a bad artist whether or not they can draw hands. If you never see hands, this is my main complaint of female artists. I'm a total sexist. I've noticed over the years that every female artist drawer I've known cannot draw hands. And nobody ever wants to be honest with people and go, "Hey, yeah, that's a cute drawing, except your hands look like a kid drew them." Drawing hands takes a lot of practice. So Van Gogh couldn't be bothered with that. So he just draws himself wearing the one button shawl, whatever that is. And his, is that some kind of Russian hat? I don't know what his problem is. But he's still got a bandage on his ear because he's a weirdo. And goes on to paint. This is the most, everyone thinks that they like, when someone goes, "Oh yeah, I like Van Gogh." They go, "Oh really, how come?" "Oh, that one painting. Starry Night. Oh wow, look at Starry Night. He's a genius." Oh man, have you ever seen anything so beautiful as Starry Night? Oh, look at those stars. It's so realistic. It's like, no, it's not, you guys. This is crap. Anybody could paint this on their first class, like those classes that the the old ladies take, where they serve wine and they give you all the supplies and they walk you through how to do a painting. This is what you can walk home with. That's not what stars look like. That's not even like what stars feel like. That's terrible. He sucks. But we're taught that he is a genius. But you can kind of tell that person who painted Starry Night, at the very least, you can tell he was crazy or angry. The person who painted that, it's kind of like if reading a person's handwriting, you can tell something about how smart a person is by their handwriting. And people go, "Oh yeah, well doctors have bad handwriting." It's like they're drawing on a bottle. That's different, But if a person your handwriting looks like they wrote with a crayon, and then that one looks like it's written like the Declaration of Independence, you can tell the people who wrote the Declaration of Independence were smart. They had beautiful handwriting and spoke beautifully. That's what everyone forgets, when they're dogging the past. It's like, I'd like to see you speak with such eloquence 30 years ago or whatever. But anyway, so Van Gogh, for some reason, the schools have taught us it's just like they pick people in history. They go, "Okay, well, let's have Van Gogh represent painters. And we're going to teach the kids there's this period of impressionists, They'll make up categories to justify that. That sucks. And kids can't tell, if they're told that guy is just like Michelangelo, then they can't tell. Oh, and it all started for me. What it started with was this poser. All right. Andy Warhol, silver screen, hang him on my wall. Andy Warhol, silver screen, can't tell them apart at all. Andy Warhol was the celebrity artist in America in the early 1970s. And all of his artwork was dumb, like just photocopies of photographs. He couldn't even paint. But when I was a kindergartner, they introduced us to collage, and they said that Andy Warhol invented collage, and so you can be an artist too. You can do finger paints, or just take clippings from magazines, or do creative stuff on a photocopier or something. And this print sold for millions of dollars. Everybody wanted to know him. He probably one of the most successful artists ever, Andy Warhol. And he was just a drug-addled weirdo creep. Just, he wore a gray wig, But he was kind of rolled out there to make artists look crazy. And also to make people think that if you don't like this, that's because you're dumb. Because there's no standard anymore. They don't say, compare this to Michelangelo. Instead, what they say is, if I can find it, hey, I'm looking for, I thought I had, what was his name? Okay, well, this will be funny. So this is Paul Stanley's painting. This is my Paul Stanley. This is a self-portrait. And, good for you, Paul. But so you can compare. This is how good of a painter. And it's not bad. Like if you're a teenager did this, and he has some writing there. It's from one of his songs. You can run, you can hide, baby, and wait. And for hiding something, and no place to run, you pull the trigger of my love gun. Okay? That's a level of artistry of Paul Stanley. And he sells paintings for millions of dollars too, because the whole art world thing is ridiculous. But anyway, so that's what Paul Stanley can do. But where is... I thought I had him. The guy who just splatters paint. I guess I don't have it. Oh, here, check this out. Okay, so Michelangelo. So compare Andy Warhol to, and I know this isn't a painting, but somebody who can do this, yes, there is like artistry that is undeniable. They made marble look like flesh, and they made cloth look like, stone look like cloth, whatever. And it tells a story of Mary holding Jesus after he was taken off the cross, right? That's what art is. Not that. Starry Night. But then Jackson Pollock, so that ushered in the whole age of, it's abstract art. So Jackson Pollock, I guess it doesn't matter, they don't have a picture of it. It's just drips of paint all over the place. And, people think, everyone, it's kind of like the Emperor's New Clothing, where nobody wants to say the obvious thing that doesn't have any clothes. It's like, oh no, that's garbage. That's just paint splatters. It's, oh no. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. There is no absolute truth. If you're going to say that Michelangelo was a better artist than the beadworkers of the Anishinaabe, then you're a racist. It's like, no, shut up. There is a standard of artistry. And then, what's important about art, I think part of the reason why they've tried to cripple us, our natural ability to tell good from bad, is that they want to tell us what is good and bad. And they go, okay, in history, back in the days of the grandfathers, there was one evil man who had a bad haircut, greasy hair, and a little mustache. And he was evil. And that's all he was, you kids. Just remember, that's going to be on the test on Friday. He was evil. His name was Hitler. And so, even the name Hitler, I think it ended with him. I don't know. I don't think he ever had kids. But apparently nobody ever, you never meet a Hitler anymore, I guess is what I'm saying. You don't go driving around and say, get your car fixed at Hitler's Auto Body. You go, what? Oh no, it's just a family name. That's a very popular name in Austria. That's like Johnson or whatever. But Hitler, so they tell us the whole thing about Hitler, it was Darth Vader and whatever. And yesterday, Natasha was talking about how George Carlin, he had this great joke. He goes, you ever wonder how the world would be different now if Hitler hadn't flunked out of art school or had been accepted to art school or something? He either didn't get accepted into art school or failed at art school. I can't remember which one it was. But the joke is sort of like the whole Holocaust could have been averted if he had just been he was just a frustrated artist. He just didn't understand why his art wasn't selling. And so I looked into his art and check this out. That's a Hitler painting. What, that guy didn't get into art school? Are you kidding me? That's a really good painting. And look what he chose to paint, like the city. That's in Germany or something, and there's a fountain and a tree and, architectural expertise. That guy was not kidding around. How old was he when he did that? Was he a teenager? I think it's pretty beautiful. This choice of art and stuff. Now check this out. That's another Hitler painting of, is that a real place? If that's a real place, that's also one of those impossible architecture. How in the world would you build a castle like that out in the mountains? But it's just a painting that Hitler at some point, probably in his youth, spent, a week. Is that a week's worth of painting every night? And what kind of a person would paint such a thing? When you look at Michelangelo, it's like you're looking at a superhero. Let me get out of the way here. So look at this magical place in this beautiful nature setting with your classic Alps back there. Could a man, the man we're told that Hitler was, can you also be a sensitive, accomplished artist? Because he also has, dozens of paintings like this. And so this guy, in the official record, they at least allow that he painted. But, I couldn't paint anything that well. But if Van Gogh If we can tell something about Van Gogh's mind from looking at his painting, and it's the same way you can kind of tell something about Michael in his cartoon, Look at this. Michael Lyons and Hitler side by side. But, you can tell something about an artist's, about how good of an artist they are, but also something about their mind and their heart. You can tell Van Gogh is crazy. And Andy Warhol, that says something about who that guy was. I don't think I would like to be friends with this guy. I think he was shallow and stupid. And I think this is ugly. Whatever feeling this kind of artwork can give you, and it requires no skill. Like, you don't have to be good at drawing to just take a photocopy of a photograph and then change the different color palettes. We all know how to do this. But then, who was Hitler really? That's all I'm asking. And how come they don't teach? My whole life I never saw what a great artist Hitler was. And this has been the podcast formerly known as Boozhoo Nanaboozhoo. The podcast. I hope I don't get censored for being sympathetic to Hitler artwork. I was just surprised, I guess. I was surprised that he could have painted so well. And it makes me wonder, it makes me reconsider. Oh, maybe some of the things he was saying weren't so wrong. No, I'm just kidding. So, who else is here? Jessica's here. Bonjour, Jessica. How lovely to see you. And Papa Wagosh is back. Bonjour, Papa Wagosh. And Grieving Turtle is here. Mino Giga J. Mino Grieving Turtle. I feel like I'm being mischievous just talking about Hitler, But that's why I heard this recently. They were saying the reason why so many people get so angry about political correctness, because it shouldn't be a thing. It shouldn't bother anybody. If you don't want to, be bothered to learn the new rules or whatever, that's fine. But for a lot of people, it gnaws at them. They get mad and defensive. And I think the reason why is that political correctness is just another word for mind control. It's controlling your thoughts. And it does that by controlling your speech. If there's certain words you can't say, then after a while you think you're not even supposed to think it. And then after a while, if don't even allow yourself to think certain things, that's how they control your mind. It's mind control. And some people just instinctively can feel it. They're like, I'm not going to let you control my mind. And Hitler is one of those things where, if you just start thinking, if you question it, they've controlled. It's like, what are you, a Holocaust denier? It's like, no, what's the story? 6 million? That's a lot. How did you get that number? If you don't understand part of the story, you think, I doggone it, I didn't pay attention in history. Okay, there's concentration camps. Got it. Did 6 million people die in concentration camps? Yeah. Well, that and, some people, they were sent to the gas chambers from the trains. So they took the trains to a camp, and they stayed in the camp for a long time, and then they killed them? Yeah. You see, look at these pictures. They're starving to death. Oh, well, how many starved to death? What are you, a denier? No, I don't know. Why is it a touchy subject? Well, it's part of political correctness. You can't. Don't ask too many questions about World War II. You'll be viewed. And, it's always that. It always comes back to the old, if you think a certain thought, then you're going to be a racist. And you're not even allowed to question that. Okay. Is being a racist bad? Is native pride different than white pride? How come native pride's okay, but white pride's bad? Oh, I'm not allowed to ask that either? Okay, sorry. So Jessica says, here's the thing. Even evil, cruel people can get something right here and there. Yeah. He's got art right. No one is 100% wrong about everything, but he did heinous evil things for power. Yeah. It doesn't fit the profile. I don't know. Maybe I'm not giving evil dictators enough credit. I want to say if you take enough time to work on your craft, well, I guess he lived in the time when they didn't have computers and movies and all these distractions. I bet you the average person was a much better painter than the average person could possibly be today. Yeah. It's just like handwriting. The Declaration of Independence is proof that they had better handwriting, so they're probably better artists. I bet you I'm just so impressed with Hitler's ability to paint because I didn't think he'd have any talent outside of genocide. But did he play a musical instrument? I guess so. I mean, people are more complex. And that's the thing about being an artist. As you can tell from Paul Stanley's painting, most artists are multi-dimensional artists. Like Paul Stanley and Michelangelo. Michelangelo did sculpture and paintings. Paul Stanley, he does music, guitar, singing, and, painting, I guess. It's just so funny because you wonder, does Paul Stanley know that his paintings look like that's pretty good for a 12-year-old. Just his choice. This is how he sees himself. The Star Child. He even bothered to paint some chest hair. But again, he didn't paint his hands. Everyone learns how to draw eyes first, because if you can't get eyes right, the whole painting's off. But everything else can be pretty amateurish if you get the eyes right. And his eyes aren't too bad. They're 1/8 of an inch too close together. But otherwise, Hitler and Paul Stanley. Two painters. And our Ojibwe phrase of the day. So, yeah. But why were we talking about Hitler and his painting? How did I get on that? I think I was talking something about truth and fake history. Oh yeah, questioning political correctness and the forbidden topics. You're not supposed to talk about the moon landing. We lost a couple of patrons already. Did we really? Yeah, we lost 2 patrons this month. If you'd like to support Boozhoo Nanaboozhoo, click the link to the Patreon page. But just know what you're doing. You don't have to do this. I'm feeling guilty about it. Because I think they got mad about something we said, probably trashing the moon landing. But we lost 2 fans. Oh well. I bet you Paul Stanley's had to deal with this too. You think Paul Stanley's ever lost a fan? No. I think once you hear Paul Stanley, then you're a fan for life. So what's this? Oh, okay. So Zhigag and Wagosh. Zhigag and Wagosh. This is another painting by Michael Lyons. All right. I'm not saying that's as good as Hitler could do, but, you know, it requires a little bit of skill. You know, there's a couple of little nuances in here. You know, like how do you draw raindrops? That's a tricky thing. You got to use a ruler. And when you do the coloring, it's tricky. And then there's also something you can do when you put it in Photoshop. And everyone kind of goes, oh, it's Photoshop, whatever. But even that, I mean, it's not what you think. And so here's a little skunk, Zhigag. And he's pulling a little rainbow right out of the sunlight. And there's Wagosh, and Wagosh has got a heart. And in cartoon land, hearts represent like love. I think Wagosh is in love, or at least feeling love. And you'll notice that yellow umbrella is not only keeping him dry, but it's making it like look sunny from where he's standing. Because they're this is in the same panel. I should make myself small again. Sunny day. Yeah, that's better. You know, that's a cartoon. It's it's a painting of sorts. And I mentioned this the other day too. This is the thing everyone's forgetting about why people were comic book fans. You know, I guess the old Snyder cut is pretty good. It's like 4 hours long of that Justice League movie. Yeah, actually everyone's kind of giving it good reviews. But the thing about us comic book nerds is that we're actually art fans. We love artwork. And the reason why you buy comic books, and we don't buy them anymore because they're so stupid, and the industry didn't even understand who we were. But there's a lot of kids from my generation who bought comic books every month, new ones, followed the stories, and by far the most popular comic books were always superhero comic books. And it wasn't because we love superheroes so much. I mean, they're fun, but we also love drawings. Those comic books were gorgeous artwork. And, you know, Spider-Man, the cityscapes, and his impossible, the crouching, the colors, everything was great. Comic books are just beautiful art. And that's why the animated shows are sometimes better than the real movies. Anyway, so this is what Michael can do. You know, it's on a level, but, you know, it's not great. You know. But it also you can kind of tell something about Michael's frame of mind. You know, it's childlike. It's cute. You know, it's non-threatening. But it's also kind of fanciful and magical. And reminiscent of animated stuff. All right. This is called Zhigag and Wagosh. And I am called Nanaboozhoo. Nanaboozhoo Nanaboozhoo. What do you think, sweetie? You want to get up here and give your 2 cents worth? Sure. All right. So, I'm gonna let Natasha come up here and say hello. But to send out myself, this is the feast of St. Crispin's Day. This is from the Bill Shakespeare, Henry V. That's Michael. This day is called the Feast of Crispian. He that outlives this day and comes safe home will stand a tiptoe when the day is named, and rouse him at the name of Crispian. He that shall live this day and see old age will yearly on the vigil feast his neighbors and say, tomorrow is Saint Crispian. Then will he strip his sleeves and show his scars, and say, these wounds I had on Crispian's day. Old men forget, yet all shall be forgot. But he'll remember with advantages what feats he did that day. Then shall our names, familiar in his mouth as household words, Harry the King, Bedford and Exeter, Warwick and Talbot, Salisbury and Gloucester, be in their flowing cups freshly remembered. This day shall the good man teach us sing, and Crispian shall ne'er go by, from this day to the ending of the world, but we in it shall be remembered. We few, we happy few, we band of brothers. For he that shall shed his blood with me shall be my brother. Be he ne'er so vile, this day shall gentle his condition. And gentlemen in England now abed shall think themselves accursed they were not here, and hold their manhoods cheap, whilst he speaks, who fought with us upon St. Crispin's Day!
Yeah! Yay! Oh, I love that.
I know,
St. Crispin's Day!
Yeah, but the reality is, sweetie,
What?
with that soundtrack, I could have just been reading out of the phone book, and it would have been inspiring.
You think so?
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Boozhoo, everybody. Boozhoo, Gakina. And, yeah, it's nice to see everybody again. How you doing? So here we are. I am Natasha Nandishanakos. And, here we are on a rainy Monday morning. Monday, la la, la 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 la. Hoka hey, do 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 do. Papa Wagosh, Boozhoo, Papa Wagosh. Papa Wagosh says, Bob Ross is the best. Bob Ross is totally underrated. You could actually watch that guy's genius skill at painting really beautiful nature stuff. He could have chosen to paint anything. Yeah, he was amazing. Great. I guess he hated having that dumb hairstyle. He's like, what? They did one season of him painting, and he was like a pieced out guy. And you could tell something about his state of mind by what he painted. You know, he's a pretty pieced out guy. You know, but second season he comes back with normal hair, and they go, "What happened to your, your perm?" He goes, "Oh yeah, that's stupid. I'm not gonna have a permed hair." They go, "No, you have to. That's your look now. You're the guy with the permed hair." And so he always had to have Ronald McDonald hair. He had an afro. He had a fro. He was a white guy with a fro. Dig, if you will, a picture that Bob Ross painted. So yeah, Bob Ross, he was great. He was a true... I mean, at least we could tell that he was actually the person who did what he said he did. Mazinabi, gay winini, artist. So, yeah. Oh, I'm a sandwich artist. I make sandwich. That's not the same thing. They've totally stolen the term artist. I blame Trump. He was one who came out with that book, Oh, the Art of the Deal. It's like, oh, now businessmen are artists? Okay. I guess anything is an art. The art of the reality show. Are we a reality show? No, I think we're just a podcast. We're a live stream podcast. Yeah, I guess. You would think by now that I'd know. But, I realized something else the other day.
What's that?
I think Bagheera is 2.
He's only 2?
Yeah. They had one of those videos come up on Facebook 2 years ago today. And we had a clip of Bagheera in his little basket. And he was just little. And I was like, oh, he was still little when we got him. And then that was 2 years ago. And now he's, I can barely pick him up. But yeah, Bagheera. And it was like this month. Oh, you know what else is weird? You remember how the other day we got sidetracked talking about my grandma? And I was telling all these stories about her. It turns out that was her birthday. I mean, she's been passed away for years now. But her birthday was 3/22/23. 3/22/23. And I didn't remember that until later. I went, oh, that's weird. We just happened to talk about her most of the hour on what was actually her birthday. And I didn't remember it. But why did we talk about it? It's just weird coincidences. They make me go, okay, is that Gitchy Manadu kind of nudging in a direction? Or when you see coincidences, is there something to that? Does that mean you're on the right path? Is it a little wink from the Great Spirit? You ever have like a crazy coincidence? You go, what? Sometimes they call it, a glitch in the Matrix. Where you go, oh, that was so weird. What a weird coincidence. Sometimes people who really love each other or really deep in love, they love to tell the crazy story about the wild coincidence how they got together. Oh, I never in a million years. I just happened to be walking down the road, and he was just happened to be there. Oh, and I couldn't believe at the same time. We both, whatever. And now we're together. And they love to tell that story because behind it's always kind of like, so that's how we knew God destined it to be. But it was old Grandma's birthday, and for some reason, I think her spirit was with us, and it made me, something told me to talk about her, I don't know. How far do you get down that rabbit hole where you go, oh, isn't that weird? I bet you the spirit of my grandmother was there. Really? Why? Oh, I don't know. She wanted to hear some dumb jokes about the good old days. I don't know. Because it proves that you're a very spiritual person. And you have to be a spiritual person to be an artist. I'm gonna be gay when any. Oh, are you gay? I'm gay for art. I'm gonna be gay when any. I'm gonna bring that back. I'm gay for art. Ugh, what do you mean? No, I'm happy for it. You can't just co-opt all of English. Look at my rainbow flag. Oh, you're a gay alliance. They stole the rainbow. Taste the rainbow. Skittles stole it too. Now, this looks like some sort of gay pride art. Hold on. With the rainbow. It's like, yeah, these two must be gay. It's like, no, it's a rainbow. You never heard of a leprechaun? Yeah, leprechauns are gay too. You don't wear green suits. sunny day. La-di-da. But that's where thought control goes too. You know, like political correctness. You can't say gay unless, if your heart is pure, you can say gay. You can't go, oh, that's really gay, unless you love it, You can't say it like it's a bad thing ever. Oh, I felt so gay, I'm gay for art. Must it be gay when any? But when they try to clamp down on political correctness of gay, number one, stealing it from meaning happy, and then stealing it from meaning lame, it was both. It was the extremes. Gay meant happy, and then gay meant stupid. And they said, no, you can't use it for either of those reasons. Now it means homosexual. That's kind of gay. Hey! Well, no, I mean, it's good. Now it means pride. Oh, I'm so proud. I'm so gay. Oh. I don't know. We're going to lose more patrons now. Oh, I don't want to give you $20 every month. That's gay. Oh, hey. I get away with saying a lot of stuff that Nanaboozhoo wouldn't be able to. And Michael certainly couldn't, huh, sweetie?
Nah, there's a lot of stuff I don't like to say because people take it the wrong way.
Yeah, huh? Sometimes it's how you say things that makes all the difference. Like I can say, oh, I love Hitler's paintings. I thought he was a beautiful painter. Let's go take a look at a Hitler painting again. No, that's Van Gogh. Oh. It's a shame that this is actually what he wanted to be known for. Oh, but then here's the conspiracy. So, you see those paintings and you go, what if he wasn't who they're saying he is? And you look into it, and apparently there's some actor from the CIA named something who looks just like Hitler without a mustache and a lot like Walt Disney without a mustache. And you go, wait a second. They're not the same person, but boy, they look alike. And you go, wait. The rabbit hole then takes you to, okay, wait a second. They say NASA, they took a bunch of German scientists to start NASA. Rocket scientists, because the Germans are really good at rockets, World War II, they were the ones, there's lots of rumors that the Nazis had flying saucers, that they had a base in Antarctica with flying saucers or something. Maybe, they have advanced technology or something. So you kind of go, okay, yeah, that probably pans out. And so these scientists, and, let's give them the benefit of the doubt that these truly are not scientists, but, mechanical engineers, people who, make stuff. A scientist, whatever it's like, they're not doing experiments on rockets. But rocket scientry, a lot of German Nazis came over to NASA. Werner von Braun was the head of NASA. Werner von Braun, however you say that in German. He was a German citizen, worked for the Third Reich. I'm not saying he killed anybody, but that's who he was. That's not a secret. And it's also not a secret that NASA teamed up with you know, DreamWorks, not DreamWorks, but Walt Disney. What's that guy's name? Doggone, I always forget. I was gonna remember this time. Stanley Kubrick. So, the year before they land on the moon, they come out with the movie 2001, A Space Odyssey. And, oh, it looks so realistic. It's all about science fiction and space. It's the most popular science fiction movie ever to that date. This is before Star Wars and Star Trek. Star Trek came out right around that time too, didn't it? The TV show. But, so they hire Stanley Kubrick, the director, who already had all the studio stuff, and they fake the moon landing. And then, if I just say it real casually like that, I'm hoping the censors won't hear it. But what if, and this picture is with Stanley Kubrick, NASA guys, and Walt Disney together, working on some project, we don't know what, but, what are those connections? Maybe, what if, could it be, think about this. So, Walt Disney, what's he famous for? Disneyland or whatever? Not Starry Night. Doesn't that kind of look like Disneyland? Well, the castle and all that? I think I just stumbled onto something, you guys. I'm going to make myself small again. Let's get Michael's ear out of the way. Is that the same castle that's on all the Walt Disney stuff? Where like Tinkerbell goes around and puts the dome over it? I think we just stumbled onto a truth, you guys. Hitler was Walt Disney. I mean, they were both played by the same actor. That's all, who knows how deep the lie goes. But this was the painting that Walt Disney based the the Walt Disney World, whatever logo on. He painted it first as a painting. My mind is blown! So I guess on that note, I'm going to say, me quitch, gotta wobby egg. Thank you for watching the podcast about Ojibwe language, culture, and Hitler appreciation. I never knew. Yeah, I don't know. You want anything? You want to add anything here, sweetie?
No, let's get out before we start saying something that they're going to censor.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, have a great Ishwa Anima Gisha. Good. A great day after prayer day. I know it's Monday and whatever. But thank you for listening. Miigwech Bizendawieg. And I will see you again. Gigawa Bamin Minawa. And live stream. La la la. Do do do.